Hi, I'm here with Dr. Todd Bacastow and Dr. Dennis Bellafiore, and we had an interesting discussion yesterday about doing what we can to possibly open up this tradecraft to more people. And part of it is a matter of definition. But rather than getting into that, let me turn the mic over to the two doctors and let them explain what their belief is.
Thanks, Art. So it's my belief, my feeling, that we need to expand the reach of GEOINT, or geospatial intelligence. Right now it is predominantly viewed as a DoD activity. However, the principles underlying GEOINT really have some great utility if you go to law enforcement, homeland security, and business. I believe, and very passionate about it, that we need to take these, we need to realize what this is, we need to understand it is an intelligence discipline, embrace the intelligence aspect of it, and then further try to introduce those principles within the realm. Dennis?
The other aspect of this is the geographic aspects, which is getting back to understanding the importance of place. People really behave and interact with each other depending upon the place that they're in. It's very important for business to understand that in terms of setting up the right environment, actually understanding the culture where they're going to be putting new businesses. And we've seen many success stories because they really understood that. And we've seen a lot of stumbling in the marketplace because they didn't understand that. Likewise, in rescue efforts during hurricanes and whatnot, understanding the cultural aspects, being able to communicate correctly, understand the movements, having the supplies strategically located, and having them safeguarded such that they're there and available for the rescue efforts is very important. That gives that organization an advantage in terms of serving the needs of those who really are in dire straits. Many times we look at the military use of this and we think that's the only application, but I really want to start at the other end and come back into it, because that gives our military a competitive advantage. It also gives our business a competitive advantage, and it gives our rescue folks a competitive advantage as well.
So to put this into a context a little bit, just completed in last year, or this year actually, a massive open online course, MOOC. So we had 22,000 enrollees, we had about 14,000 active participants in the MOOC. Out of that, we had 4,000 last week, which sounds like a big drop-off, and is, but is for free. So 4,000 actually last week of a course, a massive open online course for free, is actually quite good. And we had over 1,200 people that successfully completed everything to include a capstone exercise. First lesson of that massive open online course, we looked at the definition of geospatial intelligence and the aspects of geospatial intelligence and tried to investigate sort of the core principles of GeoInt. And what emerged out of that was something very interesting. We had 181 countries were involved in the MOOC, and out of that we sort of came to a understanding what I would call a global definition of geospatial intelligence, or GEOINT. And that, I would say, is describing, understanding, and anticipating the human use of the Earth's physical and cultural landscape to achieve a decision advantage, which is a concept Dennis had talked about, decision advantage. So even with that, we posted that and had a really nice discussion in some of the forums about that. And I had actually one person who's teaching at a university in the United States came back and said, I still don't understand why geospatial intelligence, or GEOINT, is different from another discipline. So Dennis and I put our heads together and we came up with sort of a litmus test for this. And we think there's 4 aspects to this test. First, it is geospatial intelligence, GEOINT, uses the geographic sciences. Now, you could probably also include in that technologies. If you think about the GPS and GIS, all have fundamentals that are sciences underneath that. So the technology somewhat falls out of that. just lost my place here. Develops a place in time domain knowledge through geospatial thinking and reasoning. Now, that could be human, it could also be machine. Renders a decision insight about the human impact of an event. The key thing there is there's an insight that is somewhat actionable, but also it's about a human. If it doesn't have some human aspect, we're really talking science again, and intelligence is not science. Finally, it delivers a competitive advantage by applying the art and the intelligence discipline. So the component about the art of the intelligence discipline really refers to the concept that we oftentimes want to avoid, which is the issue of secrecy. Why would we want to keep something secret or hide something? Well, if you think about it, if you're a sports team, you don't give your playbook to the other team, you're keeping it secret. If you're a business, you're not going to say, here's where I'm going to locate a store. So this concept of a competitive advantage, I think, is inherent. Actually, we saw it worldwide in what we were doing in the MOOC, but it's very inherent in our society, too. We don't give everything away. So there are just some things we keep secret. So those are really starting to get at really what makes GeoInt. If you think about that, it applies in the defense community, it applies in business, it applies on any number of different places. My suggestion is we look at this, we embrace these, and then go out and let's bring those other aspects, law enforcement, competitive intelligence or business, into GeoInt. Let's embrace them. Let's have people on the floor of GeoInt representing those entities and as sectors of our business, as well as what we would have in the DoD community.
Now, you know, one point that you and I discussed, that you're retired military, I'm retired military, so I know our first loyalty is to make sure that the guys at the tip of the spear get the tools they need. And I think so that people don't think that this is to the exclusion of that. This is really to the benefit of that.
I agree. This is the benefit. And that's an excellent point. I think there would be, in fact, you see the synergism happening anyway. A lot of the tools that are used in analysis in the defense realm really came out of other aspects too. So by expanding the community, what we're doing is we're giving the community a much greater opportunity to look at some of the other aspects, how we can bring in and investigate. Besides, I often contend, having spent some time around, suppose, the folks in the special operations community, probably a full 60–80% of what they do is not kinetic. It's much more business-like and potentially, I guess you could say, nation building, but it is not kinetic. So, you know, let's expand out, let's embrace them, let's bring them in. Let's join them into ultimately what we're trying to do anyway.